Ringside Raw TV with your host, Caesar Sherry.
Hey guys, welcome to the Ringside Rundown. Yes, I am Caesar Sheriff, and today we're going to get straight into it. We're going to be talking about the fallout between Conor Benn Jr. and Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, and who would have seen this one coming? Listen, there's a lot to unpack in this. There's been a big focus on Conor Benn's bad character and everything that Eddie has done for him and his career, and how this betrayal is just unjustified and unforgivable. And absolutely, that is all correct. I'm on board with all of that. But I think there's a bigger picture at play that right now nobody's been focusing on. And I want to look into that because I think what this means for boxing in general is going to be huge. And the aftermath of this and what it actually really shows and where Eddie's head's really at, it goes beyond just Conor Benn right now. So look, let's not delay. There's layers to this. There's a lot to get through. And so let's just dive straight in. Firstly, I just want to make this clear. I'm a huge boxing fan. I'm a purist. I've been boxing most of my life. And as much as I respect MMA and I respect UFC and what they've done as an organization, you know, that's a hybrid sport. It's made up of multiple different arts and forms. It's not pure like boxing. Boxing is a purist sport. We don't need to pollute it. We don't want to pollute it. You know, and so for me, boxing has no place mixing with the MMA. And so, but before we go down that rabbit hole, because there's a lot to unpack in that as well, just going to backtrack a minute and just let's just quickly cover what everyone's been talking about. Conor has signed a new contract with Turki Al-Sheikh's new company, Zafar. Now, Conor signed a new contract, it's a one-fight deal, which pays him $15 million for a single fight. Now, knowing what we know about Dana White, what the kind of deal maker he is, and the businessman he is, does it make sense to go and offer a contract for a single fight for $15 million? You know, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't make sense to me, that kind of deal, especially for an average fighter like Conor Benn. Eddie, on the other hand, has supported Conor through some incredibly dark moments for Conor, financially and mental health wise. And he took what is a white collar boxer and handed him off to possibly one of the best trainers in the country and gave him a shot at a family rivalry that's been going on for, I don't know, 30 odd years, 20 plus years. I mean, that was a rivalry when I was a kid. And that fight meant something back then. And Eddie has given that boy a chance at a boxing career. He would never have had it without Eddie. And so, I don't know. I just think if now we saw Conor Benn fighting a Eubank Jr., I think we'd all be supporting the other guy. Because I've never been a Eubank Jr. fan. But given what Conor Benn's just gone and done, and the way he's done it, more importantly, I think I'd have to cheer for Eubank Jr. if there was ever a second showing, or third showing, I should say. And, you know, Eddie wasn't a guy that many of us liked a few years back. Eddie was a guy who always got booed when he walked into the stadium. Whenever there was a presser, we'd all boo Eddie, you know, not give him a chance to speak. But what he's done for boxing deserves a lot of respect. You know, the guy's persevered. He's taken a sport that was silent for a while. There was no great fights. There was nothing really going on. The entertainment, the spark of boxing disappeared for a number of years. And Eddie was at the forefront of putting on those big fights, found Turkey, and he brought it back. You know, so kudos to him. Yeah, and public opinion on Eddie, I think, has rightfully changed. I think we're all behind Eddie now, or should be behind Eddie now, and more so because of this Conor Benn situation. And Like, Eddie's out there publicly saying he feels betrayed, feels wounded and feels stupid by what Conor's done. And I think all of that is justified and all of that is correct. But I think Eddie's holding a little bit back in this because, listen, Eddie's an adult and Conor's a kid. And so, yes, Eddie's going to feel betrayed because he's put so much into Conor. But Eddie's a grown adult. You dwell on it for a few days, but you move on. But I think Eddie's taking this in a deeper way. And maybe he isn't talking about that. But look, I'm a grown adult. I've seen it all. And I think it's the issue now that he's going to have with Turki Al-Sheikh. That's the real problem. Because what Conor did was he stabbed Eddie in the back. He took a payday, which I'm sure Eddie would have supported him on. But what he didn't do was talk to Eddie. He didn't take the phone call from the man who has gifted you your health and your wealth. And so to not make that phone call, to not allow a phone call, that's a knife in the back. But what Turki Al-Sheikh has gone and done to Eddie, and not just Eddie, Frank Warren as well, by the way. Let's not forget Queensberry. But what Turki's gone and done is a knife in the front. It's a death by 9 cuts, some would say. And what do I mean by that? Well, Queensberry and Matchroom, when Turki came knocking, they cut a deal with Turki and they've opened up their black books. No one knew who Turki was a few years back. And now every fighter in the world, doesn't matter where you're based, every fighter, every promoter has dealt with Turki Al-Sheikh. Every fighter looks to Turki to give him a platform, to give him a chance, give him the big payday. So Turki is the guy at the top now of a sport which he was not even connected to a few years ago. All right, and so Eddie has been sat under the wing of Turki Al-Sheikh. You've got to remember this. When Queensberry and Matchroom first were approached by Turki Al-Sheikh, they were both rivals trying to find position amongst the Saudi, and they were both really competing for who was Turki's number one guy, who was his right-hand man. Now, Frank Warren, word is on the street, Frank Warren doesn't care about boxing anymore and is taking a step back. And insiders know this to be true. And, it looks that way. Publicly, it looks that way. You don't really see much about Frank. He's not out there the way Eddie is, pushing for the big fights, trying to really do things for boxing, putting his face out there every presser. But Eddie assumed the position. Eddie is always with Turki, side by side, every opportunity. Everywhere Turki is, Eddie is. But what has Turki gone and done? He's become a rival to Eddie. He set up this Zuffa Promotions along with the Americans, along with the UFC guys. Yeah. And what has he gone and done? He's taken Eddie's Conor's not Eddie's number one, but he's taken something that you should never be able to touch of Eddie's, and he's taken him easily. If he can do that to Conor, what can Turki do with any other fighter? So that for me is the real cut of Eddie, because it's the cold, he's out in the cold. He's now feeling the truth of that relationship. And Eddie has alluded to it. It's all business. And boxing is a dirty sport, It's easy to get lost in the glamour of boxing, the razzmatazz of it all, the nice words, the warm cuddles. Like I always say, he's been under the warmth of that wing of Turki Al-Sheikh. And now what he's felt is how quick you can have that rug pulled from under your feet and how blatant it can be done. It's not even done quietly or secretly. It was done cold, hard day. And that is it's a notice to every promoter out there right now. Whether you're a UK promoter, a South American promoter, US promoter, you're going to be shaking right now because Turkey's got the money. He's got the backing. If you look at who's around Zafar, these guys can do what the hell they want to do. And it looks like they don't mind doing it, right? So I think there's a big reality check there for Eddie in that he isn't the pride and joy of, or he isn't as close, let's say, to Turki Al-Sheikh as he might have believed. And his fighters are quick to jump when Turkey comes knocking. And so my big question is now, who's next? Because Conor is never going to be the last, and Zafar, if I understand that model, you've got the UFC guys behind it, they're just going to go out and buy everyone up, and they can. And boxing's about to become, owned by a bunch of casino owners and UFC owners. It's going to fall out of their hands, and the long history that it's had with all the other promoters of this world, all our UK boys, the Frank Warrens, the Eddie Hearns, the Golden Boys, the Oscar De La Hoyas of this world. It's going to shift quickly. So my question is, now, who is next? Because I know Eddie's going to be asking that same question. I know Frank Warren probably doesn't care so much, but Eddie's feeling that cold, and he's going to know there's more coming. It's a tough day for boxing, guys. Now, let's have a quick look at this Zafar. Because as I just said, this isn't just your ordinary company. This is, this is huge. This is UFC. This is, let's quickly have a look over here. Right. So Zafar. Who owns Zafar? Ari Emanuel. Who's this guy? This guy is the owner of UFC and WWE. Okay. Dana White, we all know who Dana White is. He's the face of UFC. What he did as the face of UFC is second to none. I mean, he took it from nothing to one of the fastest growing entertainment groups in the world. We've got these guys. Here we go. Frank Fertitta, the third. Look at this guy. He's not just the founder of Zafar. He's also the CEO of Station Casinos. This guy, Red Rock Resorts, another casino group. These are serious players. These aren't just guys managing boxers. These are real big organizations. You've got the UFC, WFA, Pride Fighting Championships, World Extreme Cage Fighting, Strike Force. You've got a group that's currently Zafar acquired in 2016 by a group which is currently worth 4 billion. Turki Al-Sheikh has strategically played Frank Warren and he's played Eddie Hearn. He's got them to show him the playbook of boxing. He's got them to open up the database. He's built the relationships. He's learned the model. And he's gone to the big boys over in the US. And they're about to take over the sport. That's what's really going on right now. And how's he done it? He's done it the dirtiest way possible, Turki Al-Sheikh. He's gone to Eddie Hearn, to put the knife in from the front. He's taken somebody that should have had unquestionable loyalty, and he's bought him in a way that no one else could. The Zone wouldn't have been able to compete. No one could have competed. So all these big fights that Eddie's been putting on, thinking he's getting closer and closer, Turkey's had another game plan, which was throw the money at all the fighters. He threw the money at Conor Benn. He threw the money at Eubank Jr. How much did they want to fight? They got everything they asked for. No one else could have done it. He did it. Why? He made the statement he needed to make. He got the track record he needed to get. He's now got the fighters he wants, and he's going to keep buying them up. So who's next? I don't know. You're going to probably get the Tyson Furies of this world go running. You're going to get, I don't know. I mean, you tell me, who is next? But that's the thing that's going on in boxing, guys. Forget focusing on Conor betrayal. This is a small part of it, a real small part of it. Conor has betrayed Eddie. But Eddie doesn't care about Conor like that. Turki Al-Sheikh is about to destroy boxing and all other promoters. That's what Eddie cares about. That's what Frank Warren should care about. That's what Oscar De La Hoya should care about. They're all going to lose their fighters to this guy. Mark my words. I said it here first. You've heard it by me. If you like what I got to say, then you know what to do. Like and subscribe, and we'll follow up in the next episodes. Thanks a lot, guys. Stay tuned. And remember, hands up, chins down, all times.